Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. I'm Tim, joined this week by Evan.
Hello.
And we're recording some Legion. I'm playing Legion today. I'm very excited about it.
And I'm going to be playing some Scorn. As per usual, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, this is the week we're coming up into Adepticon, so we're really excited about attending this convention, having a lot of fun. Evan's going to be playing one of the two lists that he's intending to play in Champions. So we wanted the opportunity to play a video, showcase the list, and also do a little bit of testing, a little bit of field testing.
Yeah.
And I suspect that based on the updated CID, we're likely to see quite a few Legion lists. So I decided I'd play something that I feel like pairs in a really complementary way with the kind of Primal Terrors lists that we might see at Adepticon.
Mostly because we don't have our full Primal Terrors list painted yet, and also most of it's not out yet.
We're also kind of hoping that maybe we might be able to ninja some Primal Terrors pieces at Adepticon and then be able to showcase it after the convention.
Also true.
So no need to do that 2 weeks in a row. Here we are with a Legion list that is not Primal Terrors.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll talk a little bit about what we're playing, and then we'll jump into the report.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned a lot about Legion, so why don't you go first?
Yep. I also won the die roll because of my +1 to go first in Children of the Dragon. So I'm playing Kallus, Devastation of Everblight. His battle group is Azrael, Zuriel, a Nephilim Bolt Thrower, and a Nephilim Protector. I think it's a really good battle group. I think there's a lot of really cool tools here. It also gets me multiple free points, so that's a really nice feature of the list. I have Maximum Swordsman with the Abbot and Champion attachment. Then I have full Raptors, and then I purchased Nissa to kind of complement them with the Veteran Leader effects. I also have a free Warlord in the list, and it's a relatively low model count list, and actually kind of a small battle group for a lot of Legion lists. So I'm just playing a Shepherd for Fury Management.
All right. Is that everything?
Yep.
Cool. So going into my list, I'm playing Zaal1, as this is one of my Champions lists. It's going to be Zaal1 with a battle group of 2 Kreas, a Shaman, and a Raider, as well as its Exalted theme. So there's 3 Ancestral Guardians, Hakaar, 2 Void Spirits, and then my units are obviously 3 full units of Immortals with UA. I've debated, and I've actually played with, both a version that has Marketh instead of an Ancestral Guardian in it, and a unit or a version that has a Soul Ward. I really like the Soul Ward in the list. I just am not sure about losing out on either Battle Group points or a Void Spirit for it. It might be worth it.
It's worth talking that because Zaal's on the ADR, if this wasn't a list you're playing for Champions, but was instead something you're playing as part of a Masters, those might go in your Vanguard?
Yes, for sure. 100%.
What other choices would you put in a Vanguard?
Probably some extra battle group pieces, something like an Agonizer if there's not a particularly heavy ranged list that I'm going into, but still want to drop Immortals. Perhaps something like Slayers.
Yep.
As Agonizers are a lot better than Kreas into that particular matchup.
Cool.
Maybe a couple more guns for the battle group. Maybe something that wants to benefit from the theme benefit of Death Rage, which is something this battle group does not do at all.
Not especially well, no.
No. But yeah, that's the gist of the list. It's a lot of Immortals, a lot of hard-hitting stuff with Last Stand, and a lot of accurate stuff with Last Stand, and boosts are a thing for my feet. Yeah.
The theme here is Last Stand.
The theme here is Last Stand.
All right, and without further ado, let's jump into the game. All right, so I won the die roll and opted to go first. So I'm deploying Kallus fairly centrally. Him having access to Pathfinder and that reposition really, really helps. I feel like he's a very dynamic caster that has the potential to kind of be in a lot of places, but Evan's got a pretty hard-hitting army, so I also want to make sure that I'm screening him well. So I'm planning to use that line of sight blocking forest in the middle of the board. We're going to talk really quickly about terrain here.
Yeah.
So starting at the top on the left-hand side, we've got some elevation, that little raised platform, and then those train track areas we typically play as trenches. Central line of sight blocking forest, and then a piece of rubble with a couple of crates there. Our terrain is kind of 2.5D. Anything that you never need to put a model on top of is full 3D well realized. Anything that you might want to put a model on top of has removable pieces, so that crate can be removed, the trees can be removed, the platform can actually be removed with the little stairs on it and stuff. That all comes off. And then we've got a house, a forest, an acid bath, and a wall.
Yep. So just before we get into my deployment, I think yours is pretty straightforward as we can see it now. You got unit on top, unit on bottom, battle group in the middle. At the end of this video, we're going to be announcing the winner for our steppers from the Kolgrima and Heretic video that we had a little over a month ago. We gave that video some time. We got a lot of suggestions. We've actually already played a bunch of the suggestions that we've gotten from that video, and this is just kind of one of those opportunities we've had to take what people really want to see and put it on the channel. I swear to God, I'm almost done painting my Derp Turtles list. You'll see it sooner or later. I swear.
I think you're super close. Like, the turtles are fully painted now, aren't they?
They need the flesh tones done.
Okay. I mean, they'll be painted for Adepticon because it's a fully painted convention, people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, moving into my deployment, pretty important part of this is that the objective's going to be giving me Pathfinder, because while all of my Immortals themselves can go into Incorporeal to ignore both of the big forests in the house and the acid bath that are going to be causing me some troubles, my solos can't. Neither can my battle group. Nothing there has Pathfinder. So, and that's pretty important for Hakaar. There are often times where I don't have an objective available in the scenario, and he gets stuck in some form of terrain, and he is miserable because he's only speed 4. But Pathfinder objective alleviates that a lot.
I chose the magic weapon objective in deference to the fact that you do have a Kovaas that you can create with any of your Ancestral Guardians.
Yep, there's that. I also have 2 Void Spirits in the list.
Yep.
So that's pretty important. I deploy 1 unit of Immortals, but essentially on the line of the 2 square middle zones, kind of near the top zone. 1 unit of Immortals near the top zone that's probably just going to go and score that, and 1 unit of Immortals near the bottom zone that's hopefully going to contest that for long enough and survive against those swordsmen. And then my battle group's kind of scattered in between, with a Krea in the far top corner and Ancestral Guardians within 5 inches of each unit.
So one of the elements of this list that I think is really challenging, the list that I'm playing, is it's got a lot of really weird potential. Kallus, being an overrun caster, has the ability to really just do some weird things with his battle group. Those pieces can go all kinds of places and really effectively. But it's fundamentally an infantry-centric list. I'm looking to leverage Battle Lust. I'm looking to put a bunch of damage into people. And so I kind of want to play him like a support caster in the middle of the board. So I've got some weird choices to make. The other thing that's weird about Evan's list is he's also got a fair number of guns for something that's basically just 30 melee infantry pieces. So it's a huge skew of infantry models that makes me want to play this the same kind of way I'd play into Crix, but it actually has quite a few guns that could potentially threaten my caster. So Kallus moves up, casts Blazing Path, and puts Elusive on himself. The Protector runs in a position to offer that guard dog ability and to be a shield guard in a relevant spot. Azrael toes just into the zone, staying at the very, very perimeter of Kallus's control area. I tinker with this for a second because I'm trying to stay just in the zone, like just barely toe it in, and it is just possible. Zuriel runs, plays pretty centrally. Zuriel's a really neat piece. He can put out the on fire effect. He can like use that to kind of go make something be on fire and then add threat range to like charging infantry models via Kallus's feet. He's also like, he's just a really, really cool overrun model. So I'm playing him pretty centrally. In the theme, because my Nephilim get unyielding, he's actually pretty durable. He ends up being 13-19 against melee attacks, and I'm not really afraid of ranged attacks doing a ton of work to him. My Raptors and Anissa. Anissa put Pram, one of the Ancestral Guardians. The Raptors run right up into the zone and stay comfortably out of threat range. I've kind of played a bit of a horseshoe formation here.
So I start by running Hakaar right up the table. He's going to be... He's pretty hard to kill. As are all of my Ancestral Guardians, really. But Hakaar especially because he has Ghost Shield. So for every soul he has on him, he's going to have +1 armor. He's base armor 18, and he starts with a soul from the theme, as well as Zaal has a spell, well, not really a spell. It's a ability on his card called Soul Converter, where he can spend a Fury to put 1 soul on every model with Soul Taker Gatekeeper on them in his control, which is going to be all my Ancestral Guardians. If I had a Soul Ward, that would also get a soul and start with 1, so it could hand out those souls to other Ancestral Guardian models. So typically if I had that model, I would throw it on Hakaar, and then Hakaar would have 3 souls on the first turn. Obviously I don't have that, so I didn't do that. My plan here is basically I like to play my Immortals in 3 waves. So the first wave is there to die and put up Vengeance, or to threaten models further, basically so that they're either going to be threatened by the front line and have to kill them if they don't want to be charged, or they're going to have to come in, kill the front line, and then get Vengeance on by the second line. And I kind of do that with all 3 of my units of Immortals.
One of the things that I find really interesting about this list is how big the +2 movement bubble from the Ancestral Guardians ends up being.
Yes.
Like, because it's just the unit has to be within 5 inches when they start their activation, you can just sort of have one peripheral model get tagged by an Ancestral Guardian and affect the entire unit. If you look at it the way Evan's playing this bottom unit, he's got an Ancestral Guardian in the central zone behind a forest, totally outside of my line of sight, and conveniently within 5 inches of just one of the guys that's flooding that zone right now.
Exactly.
So that's really strong. And now if I try to get cute and kill that model, he can Vengeance the other model who's very nearby to that into that 5-inch bubble and then give the buff to the unit anyway.
Yep.
So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation.
Yeah. As for what everything else does, this Shaman walks up and just I think he just takes a shot at the solo for the swordsman, because he just so happened to be barely within range. If he walks up and does snipe from the raider, he missed because of Blade Shield. It happens.
Def 16 Warlord, let's dance.
Zaal himself puts Inviolable Resolve on 1 unit of Immortals. He puts Awakened Spirit on a Krea, and he does Soul Converter and camps 2. I don't put Last Stand up this turn because I'm not sure where I want it. I have a feeling I'm going to want to put it near the top zone just to go in on those Raptors because I need the extra bonus to hit. But I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to put up there or if I'm going to put it on the bottom unit to go kill a heavy. And I feel like it's worth just waiting.
You do Inviolable Resolve the middle unit, though.
Yes, the blue unit is...
They're kind of going to be your
Resolve.
anchor unit, I guess, is the way to think about it.
I feel like they can go top or bottom. They are probably also going to try to contest your central zone, so it's best to have them with the +2 armor.
Okay. So Evans kept most things out of, really obvious threat ranges.
Yeah. It's important to note, the Krea near the top zone, that is basically not on the hill but right behind it, did put up Force Aura as well. So I have both a Force Aura bubble in the middle with the Free Awakened Spirit one and on the top zone.
Yeah, that's really, really important because Anissa is going to have a hard enough job killing that Ancestral Guardian without it being in Force Aura, and it being in Force Aura makes it basically impossible. She's dice -6, rolling 2 dice on a POW 12 because of the prey bonus. So she's looking to kill him with her 2 shots over a handful of turns, hoping for a couple of spikes in there. So we start by trying to see if we can kill Hakaar. Hakaar's super durable. Underneath the Krea aura that he's in, he's armor 22. So I'm looking to take that boostable POW 17 that Azrael has access to and just try to hit him as hard as he can. My goal here, my kind of ambition, is to kill Hakaar, proc the Kovaas, and kill the Kovaas with the Bolt Thrower who got given magic weapons, thereby denying you the kind of the hardest hitting piece that is maybe the most powerful on your feat turn. Because the Last Stand at Hakaar with a whole bunch of boosts and buying attacks with souls is just a nightmare. Like, he kills anything.
He kills a heavy, and
for sure.
He's a free solo in my list. Like, he's terrifying on that feat turn.
So I boost a hit with Azrael, who also boosts damage. This is dice -5 because of the Krea aura, which is it's a lot. I do 5 points of damage. Reload. This time I'm looking to roll the hard 6 to hit, which I do. Boost damage, and also dice -5. He does
3 points.
3 more points.
So Hakaar's on 2 boxes and on fire.
I'd kind of hoped that I might just get that little bit of a spike and finish him, and then I can just go into Bolt Thrower, kills the Kovaas, and there we go. That's a pretty good situation for me, and the expectation is the limited number of things that can actually get onto Azrael this turn are not going to finish him because of that Nephilim armor buff and his base reasonably high defense. So that's the hope here, but it didn't quite work out. So we're just gonna switch gears a little bit, make a decision. One of the things that I consider doing, because I know that it's just so important to kill Hakaar. One of the things I debate doing is feeding, because now he's on fire, just to be able to have the Warlord charge him.
So what you do here?
What we end up doing is we activate Kallus, and he uses the Spell Martyr to cast Path of Fire. No, sorry, Blazing Path and
Brand of Fire.
Brand of Fire. That's the one. So he casts Brand of Fire, kills the Void Spirit, and bounces to light a couple of Immortals on fire. I'm totally fine killing Immortals with continuous effects because then I don't have to worry about triggering Vengeance. And yeah, I'm just trying to do as much kind of chip damage to the units as I can without, ending up with twice as many of them in my face as I want.
Yep. You do walk up and you do pop the feet.
Yeah, so I decide to pop the feet. I won't get those Immortals that I managed to catch on fire, but I do get Hakaar. I'm using the feet here mostly as a threat extender to just finish Hakaar. Instead, I roll really hot with the fire damage, and I just kill Hakaar with the feet damage.
So Hakaar becomes a Kovaas. The Kovaas does shed the fire, so I can no longer be charged by the thing.
Yeah.
Not that he had magic weapons anyway.
No, he didn't. I was hoping to use that as a threat extension. That was the intent, but that's okay. The feet ending up killing Hakaar is actually pretty okay. It's not the best use of the feat imaginable. I usually like to save it for an assassination, but I feel like you know about that. You can afford to play Zaal really conservatively, and just finishing off a really killer piece in your list early is nice.
And the bolt thrower misses the Kovaas.
Yeah, so the bolt thrower who was given magic weapons by the objective misses his boosted shot at the Kovaas, which is unfortunate.
Thanks to Force Aura.
Yeah, the defense 15, so I needed a 10 there. That's it's like a 50-50. We move over to the Raptors here. The Raptors just move a little bit to get into position to all take shots, a couple of them aiming, all of them being in veteran leader range, at the Krea. My hope here is Poison can maybe finish the Krea so that Anissa can start to do a little bit of work onto that Ancestral Guardian. Poison's really good on them. Even the Krea's armor is, I think you're defense 14, armor 16?
Yes, under Force Aura.
Mm-hmm. So they need 6s to hit you because they're under the veteran leader range of Anissa, and the one that aimed only needs a 4. And they get to do pretty reasonable damage. It's an expected 4.5 damage apiece. There's 5 of them. That's, it's 23 damage. I think that should probably finish a Krea.
Yeah, Krea's only 22 boxes.
Yeah, so
they managed to do it.
It's a dead Krea. And they're going to repo back. Just kind of stay at the very edge of the zone, a couple of them here. Stay in both zones, but kind of just contest a little bit.
Yeah, you keep 2 of them in this zone.
I do, yep.
And then Anissa goes, shooting at the Ancestral Guardian, dice off 6.
It is her prey target.
Does nothing, and then does 2 damage.
That's actually basically average.
Yep.
Dice minus 6, I should probably do 2 damage at 2 shots. I'm hoping for spikes to finish this guy, and not having access to poison because he's a construct. She is significantly limited in her damage output. So I debate what I want to do with the swordsman. As Evan pointed out before, he kind of plays his Immortals in waves, so he can get, those front ones, if I don't kill them, they're going to be able to get charges all the way across the zone. So what I do here is I stagger their placement. I keep the champion behind the wall. I place a couple in the zone, and I keep most of them out of the zone, expecting the line of play to be Evan comes in, tries to clear the zone, and then the unit kind of cleans up a bunch of Immortals. That's at least what I'm hoping they get to do.
That's fair.
It's I mostly have to protect swordsmen with distance, and it feels really rough to have used the feat already because that wall prevents them from charging over it because they don't have native Pathfinder, and they don't have a lot of threat extension tools other than speed 6 and a 1-inch melee. So they basically throw out a pretty static 10, but they don't have a stat profile that lets them really play super far up safely.
So what happens here is 1 fire goes out, 1 Immortal dies. I give the soul to that unit's leader. I can do that with continuous effects. Yay. And I'm looking at the table and thinking, I'm definitely scoring my zone. If I can kill 2 Raptors and get the entire unit into the top zone, I can do that. And I threat basically, I think 2 Immortals, 1 green Immortal to 1 Raptor. I can get 2 of them, and then 1 blue guy can get on the other Raptor. So I have 2 cracks at the one and 1 crack at the other. So I'm probably going to need Last Stand in order to clear that top zone. However, in the bottom zone, there are 3 swordsmen, and I can get 2 charges in with the red unit. So I also have an opportunity to score the bottom zone if my Shaman, who with Snipe and Ghost Shot can ignore the line of sight and the cover to that swordsman champion over the wall, if it can eliminate him, then I also have a decent chance of scoring this bottom zone and then just going to 3 on bottom of 2, which I'm pretty happy with, although that second part in scoring the bottom zone without last stand and with relying on that Shaman to hit that swordsman and kill it, even though it has 5 boxes, is pretty unreliable. But I'm going to go for it anyway and see what happens. So the objective gives Pathfinder to the Shaman, and I decide before I commit these Immortals, let's see what happens. So he goes, he snipes himself, he boosts a hit, he's ignoring the cover, and
Defense 14 against your rat of 5, needs a 9, and
misses by 1.
Alas.
So I'm not going to be able to score this bottom zone. That's fine. I can definitely score the top zone, and I can definitely contest the bottom zone with a lot of Immortals, get really deep into that zone, and make it so that Tim has to play really carefully with those swordsmen or commit them entirely. The Raider is going to take a shot at the other swordsman, so I do have a chance still in this zone. It's just I'm not likely to hit the unit commander over the wall in melee because he goes from 14 to 16, and I'm only mat 6 because Hakaar is dead, so I'm going to need a 10. So I go for these 2 charges anyway. I do the Incorporeal, so I ignore the Acid Bath and have the Pathfinder to get over it. And then I just run some Immortals in such a way that both threaten Azrael, can next turn contest that square red zone, and then also entirely get within this circle zone. So Vengeances are going to be an issue next turn if Tim decides to not kill enough, as are contesting models.
So you kill the model not over the wall, but you missed the model that you're attacking over the wall.
As expected.
Yeah, I don't get to proc countercharge or defensive strike with the champion because he got engaged and does not have a model enter his own melee. Alas.
So from here on out, we're just planning on how to approach the center here. I measured out, and I think the best model I have to contest Tim's zone is this Incorporeal Kovaas, because he can only make 1 model have magic weapons there other than Kallus. I'm going to jam Kallus with some blue Immortals, so he has something to deal with already. And if that model fails to kill the Kovaas, then I still have a Kovaas in Tim's zone, which is kind of terrifying for him.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Awakened Spirit Krea walks up, does his Animus, getting that Animus onto the objective as well, making it harder for Tim to kill the objective with just his guns from Azrael and Zuriel. Make it so that he has to actually commit something to my zone. Zaal goes, puts out Last Stand on the green Immortals, does Soul Converter again, so everything gains another soul.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, obviously, these Raptors had to sort of toe into this zone, otherwise Evan can score it trivially. I didn't really want to give up the Raptors, but I didn't really have another contesting piece here. There's a version of this list that doesn't have the Warlord in it, but plays something like Kralix instead. I don't think Kralix is great into this matchup specifically, but he is one of those pieces that's a little bit cagey and can kind of sort of contest. The Raptors are good here, but they basically require Evan to cast Last Stand because I did kill his veteran leader. But with Last Stand, I think these attacks are going to be pretty trivial.
Yeah, I also think it's very much worth me trading 1 for Immortals. And since Last Stand is additional die, I do get the 4 die for damage, and I'm only needing their def 14, so I'm needing 8s to hit.
8s to hit, and then their armor 15, but still pretty easy.
Dice off 2.
So we mark the models that have used Last Stand. It destroys them at the end of the turn. So
yeah.
And I think you do Grave Mist too.
That unit does Grave Mist and goes Incorporeal just because one of my 2 Immortals had to go through each other to finish the charge.
Yep. Seems worth it.
This unit of blue Immortals, I debate just hiding behind this forest, but I decide that I'm going to make it even harder for Tim to clear out his zone from contesting models, so I go Incorporeal, run 4 of my blue Immortals right into Kallus's face, into the zone, and then hide the rest of the unit behind the forest.
Yeah, so one of the challenges here is I think you're just in deny me point collection mode, right?
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done my half, which is score 2 points.
Yep.
Now I'm just going to try to prevent you from doing the same.
Count to 5, scoring your own zone repeatedly.
Exactly.
Seems remarkably good. I'm not going to lie here. I feel like I'm playing a little bit on the back foot.
Well, I feel like at this point I have the pieces and you don't.
Correct. Yep.
So I end my turn after moving some Ancestral Guardians into positions where they'll be able to benefit Immortals next turn, and I pass the turn, so I score my 2 points.
So I've got a bit of a dilemma. I definitely feel like I'm in an awkward spot, and I debate. So if there's an assassination here, this is what it looks like. It probably looks like Kallus casting Overrun on himself, clearing a spot for Zuriel to land, Zuriel moving because of Overrun, and Zuriel charging 9 inches plus a 2-inch melee range over onto Zaal. So the question becomes, is Zuriel within a 6-inch walk plus an 11-inch threat, total 17 inches of Zaal? And the answer is undoubtedly yes. He's certainly in that range. Zuriel's at the back of his zone, so that means there's only 4 inches of zone. Then he has 6 inches between those two things, which takes us to just about 10 inches. And then Zaal is almost at the back of his zone. So Zaal's about 16 and a half, maybe 17 inches away. Certainly very close to it. So now the problem becomes, well, we can get there, but where do we end up landing? And I'm trying to figure out if maybe Azrael's participation in this can be to walk past the Kovaas, who can't make free strikes because he's incorporeal, and slam the Krea. If he crits the Krea, he needs to roll a 4 to contact Zaal. That's less than a 50-50. Obviously, you can reload it and shoot again, but to knock Zaal down, I need to roll a crit at least one of the 2 times, and a 4 combined in distance among the potential for 2 shots. So, having that be not amazing, I decide, well, maybe the Bolt Thrower participates in this. The Bolt Thrower thunderbolts the Krea back a little bit, making the odds of that smite knocking Zaal down much higher. So we decide to look at where the Bolt Thrower would end up in that arrangement. And I think the problem is going to be where I want to put the Bolt Thrower ends up being basically where Zuriel needs to be from the Overrun move. So there's obviously some complexity here. One of the lines of play that I debate doing is having the Bolt Thrower be moved with Overrun to free up the spot for Zuriel. But we look at this line of play, and eventually I decide that whether or not the assassination is good is somewhat irrelevant if I can't find a good landing spot for Zuriel. So we pull up these proxy bases in just a second, and then I look to find proxy base placement for where Zuriel is going to end up. So, what if Zuriel walks 6 inches this way? Avoids the lion's share of the free strikes, ends up there, charges 9 inches, does not really quite have a beat on Zaal. So we look for a tighter line. Walk 6 inches to here. That's certainly within 11 inches of Zaal, and it's within the 6, although not by a lot. So we look to see where that puts him and how we can avoid the free strikes that are there. The problem is, and this is kind of like we're a few minutes into planning this out when this comes to light, I think the place he has to land to get into melee with Zaal and have only moved 9 inches is actually on top of the objective. So we tighten that 6 up, measure it nice and carefully, and then we check the 9, and I basically have to be inside the objective. So now I have to kill the objective, which means I probably don't get to use Azrael as part of a plan that involves slamming Zaal knockdown. Zaal's on 2 transfers, and I get Zuriel there with the ability to buy 4 attacks. Now he's mat 8, but he's only power strength 16. So Zaal probably can afford to take 1 or 2 hits and transfer 1 or 2 hits, and then I probably miss a hit. So now this assassination is not super likely, certainly without a knockdown Zaal. So having those distances be complicated and challenging, and having killing the objective being a bit of an insurmountable hill, we conclude that we have to play this round for attrition, even though it doesn't look super great. All right, so what's that look like?
I don't know, Tim. What does it look like?
Well, it starts by charging with the swordsman. The swordsmen have cleave and overtake, so they can kill a couple of models. We make some charges with them. They're kind of spread out in 2 zones instead of weird spots. So a couple of them charge blue immortals who jammed. The champion charges charges the 2 guys, one of them who attacked the guy last turn, and they run to sort of flood the zone a little bit. The abbot runs, and we just confirm the abbot's command 9 in a second, but he can just tag the people who are in both zones, which is pretty important because I think at this stage of the game, I need to fan them out really wide and kind of have them do the work of 2 units in terms of unjamming the pieces they haven't sent to me and maybe getting even some positive attrition swing against this red unit. So, champion fails to kill, actually on his first damage roll. Did not get the charge bonus against this guy. Kills him with his second sword attack. Still gets to cleave overtake. So he makes his overtake move and then he cleaves into this guy and he slaughters him with that weapon master attack. They're power strength 11 weapon masters, so the swordsmen hit really hard. It's just a matter of delivering them and having them survive to be delivered. So we go ahead and kill another gentleman there. The swordsman over here actually misses his attack. That's 7 on 11.
No, he
hits.
hit.
The 4 hits. If they were Mat 6, that would have missed. Or if you'd done Grave Mist or something with this unit.
Yep.
Yeah, only the green unit I think did Grave Mist this round.
Only the top unit did. Just because I felt like they were in a little bit more of a precarious position.
I'm giving you quite a few souls this round. I think
so you've basically filled up the bottom unit.
Yeah.
None of those models were in direct souls range, so I couldn't give them to guardians. Well, all of my guardians are full, so I couldn't give them to other units, essentially. Or the Kovaas.
So we activate Kallus next. He's got a bit of a puzzle. What he wants to do is hit with both of his attacks. He also wants to cast Overrun on Zuriel. So he's going to do that. Overrun on Zuriel. He's going to punch this dude with his mount attack. Hits him. It's a POW 14. Crit knockdown, so he's not knocked down by the stack, but he does still kill him. This is the Inviolable Resolve unit, so that's sort of a non-trivial series of attacks. Fortunately, Kallus is basically a heavy, so he smacks him with a POW 15. Kills him, and will buy an attack. Stick into this guy here. Kill him too. We dropped Blazing Path this round on the assumption that I needed to kind of get a little bit of work out of Kallus. So he finishes killing the members of the blue unit and then repos 3, and he's still camping 3. So I'm sort of behind the forest with a bit of line of sight blocking. I've got the Protector in range to serve as a shield guard and also to be a guard dog for me. So we'll activate Zuriel next. So Zuriel charges. He gets an assault spray here.
Zuriel does some wacky stuff.
Yeah, you're about to see the yo-yo Zuriel that I really just love about this list.
I had no idea this was a thing.
So this is a charge attack, and Zuriel is assaulting. So Zuriel spent 1 to charge, and he is Rat 5, so he hits a bunch of these guys pretty trivially. And then he's Power Strength 12, and also lights them on fire. So he lights one on fire, kills another one, and then he manages to kill his charge target with the assault. And then he triggers Overrun. And he advances 6 inches. Initially, we advance into here, but we look at the range on Defensive Strike and the War Beasts here, and it's a little bit close, so we actually just conclude that he's going to move to a slightly different spot. Instead of engaging Evan's Battlegroup, Zuriel moves over and engages one of the Immortals and the Ancestral Guardian. So here Evan gets a Defensive Strike with the Ancestral Guardian.
I hit.
It hits.
I do no damage.
Yep.
Defensive Strike never works. It didn't work last week. Didn't work this week.
You roll them dice, you hope. So Zuriel uses his redirected charge attack onto the Ancestral Guardian and puts not quite enough damage into it. And then he uses a bot attack and he kills the Ancestral Guardian. And then he buys an attack, his last attack, and he kills the Immortal that's there. And then he proceeds to quick work a spray, getting work on both sides of the table. Go Zuriel. And let's do it. He puts a spray that hits a couple of Immortals here.
It hits 1.
It does, yeah.
And it lights them on fire, and it doesn't actually crack armor. However, that unit certainly has Vengeance now, as does the bottom one.
Yeah, I mean,
you were
Kallus
obviously
killed a whole bunch of them. So.
You're obviously triggering Vengeance this turn.
Yeah, the 2 units are going to get triggered vengeance. Anissa at this point moves up and she shoots the Ancestral Guardian. I'm hoping that I just get a random spike and manage to kill the AG this round, because if I do, it prevents you from spawning the Kovaas.
You didn't kill the AG.
I did not. It is unfortunate. She's Prey is tough in this round because, like, you want to get work out of every round, and maybe the Ancestral Guardian was a bad choice. It might have made more sense to play something like the Krea, where her poison could come into play, and then be able to redirect it to something that's appropriate. But there's rounds where you just don't want to kill certain Immortal units, so praying an Immortal unit is really tricky. So we go ahead and we activate the Raptors. We get a charge attack that does not break armor, and a mount attack that does not break armor, and the Raptor just, they reposition a little bit, staying in the zone and sort of trying to jam a little bit. Evan points out the possibility of a free strike, so we tuck that Raptor back into where it was. Bolt Thrower, or pardon me, the Protector activates. The Protector was the one who got given magic weapons by the objective this round. Sorry, a magic attack on its first attack. So it boosts that attack, and just to lock it up, we boost damage there. I think Protector's POW strength 12, so
he does it.
He will kill the Kovaas. I mean, I'd rather kill the Kovaas after killing all the Ancestral Guardians, but I have to kill the Kovaas. There's no way I can afford to not do that.
Yeah. Especially, well, A, you wouldn't score your zone if you don't kill the Kovaas, which is bad. And B, it's a monster in melee.
Yep.
It is, here, hold on. It is Mat 8 and POW 14 with 2 inches of reach, which means if I last stand it, and it has souls, it can just go to town buying attacks, and if I give it my feet, it can boost all of those attacks as well. So it has 4 dice to hit and 4 dice damage.
Sorry, it's worth pointing out over here, I debate what to do with Azrael, if I want to do some work on Evan's battle group, but instead I decide I just want to put as much work as possible into the Immortal unit on the bottom side of the board, so that flank kind of starts collapsing. And the Warlord runs up to just serve as a bit of a screen. Shepherd conditioned 1 off Azrael, and the Bolt Thrower, which is the last piece to activate here, is just debating what it wants to do. Eventually I decide I'm going to shoot the Immortal and the deep part of the zone, hoping that fire kills the last one. He shoots, he boosts to hit, he hits, POW 14, he manages to kill. And he's at a direct souls range, so I've left Evan with the red unit of Immortals having the UA and 1 model. Fire does not go out on that model. Fire does kill the gentleman who Zuriel clipped, who had inviolable resolve. And I've triggered vengeance on 2 units, Evan.
So the red unit does nothing with this vengeance. I basically send it towards the middle of the table to threaten more war beasts. Maybe put a bit of damage into them before Tim has to start sending transfers their way, and maybe threaten the solos in the middle of the table, depending on what I want to do. Middle unit of blue Immortals, they're going to have to go into the far zone again this turn, so they start venging towards that through the forest, and they also take out an Immortal Raptor with their vengeance attacks. Green unit doesn't get vengeance. So
I kind of hoped that Raptor might survive, but that's okay.
So in the bottom left of the screen, you can kind of see my dead pile accumulating a bit. That is an overflow, because I didn't put all of them on my tray. If you don't know what Zaal1's feat is, I will read it to you. It says, Zaal gains a number of ancestral rage tokens equal to the number of friendly faction warrior models that have been destroyed and not returned to play since the start of the game. While in Zaal's control range, friendly faction models can spend ancestral rage tokens on Zaal to boost 1 attack or melee attack or melee damage roll for each token spent. So essentially, my warrior models can boost with dead stuff. Each of those dead models is a focus for warrior models. So I'm looking at the table, and I'm looking at how close Kallus is to my Immortals, and how many I can get onto them, and whether or not it's viable to go to an assassination this turn. And I'm looking at the table, and I'm realizing that my bottom half is rapidly collapsing. I'm not going to be able to control that or contest that for the next 2 turns. In the top zone, I can kill Anissa probably, and I can kill the other Raptor and score that again, but essentially, I feel like I'm going to get to a part in this game where I don't have enough Immortals left on the table to last stand to kill heavies, to keep my attrition up, and to stay in it for scenario. So I think the Assassination is probably the best way for me to go this turn. I have 3 Immortals from the green unit that are already last standed, as well as the unit attachment that can get in with charges onto Kallus. After that, I can move up with Zaal, I can throw up my feet, and I can last stand the second unit that will go in with 4 dice to hit, as opposed to the 3 dice to hit, with still 4 dice for damage. And at first glance, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this is pretty risky. Kallus is 13-18 with 3 transfers and 20 boxes, which is
15-18 against melee attacks.
Exactly, 15-18 because of Guard Dog from the Protector. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I could paralyze him with the Krea, except no, because he has a Protector. So I just shoot him with the damaging guns, and I think maybe, just maybe, Tim will shield guard one of these, but Tim knows a little bit better than that. So he's going to take the minimal damage from these guns. Bit of chip
Kallus has
damage.
20 boxes, so, and he did cut one last turn because I had an awkward raving turn, but he also has hyper regeneration, so he's healed back to full. So he's at 20, and he takes a little bit of chip damage from these guns, but he's not in a terrible spot. I felt pretty safe going into this turn. I would have felt safer with something like Spiny Growth on him, or like Rapid Healing from Typhon, but this is...
But neither of those things are in this list.
Correct. No, you're limited a little bit by what's available in the list.
So I decide Krea's not even worth activating at this point, unless I need to paralyze Zuriel or anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to do this. Now, the other great thing about this is that the unit attachment has souls, and every soul can be used as a reroll to hit. Because of, I don't remember what the ability's called.
So you spend your first soul making them incorporeal, so you can move through the raptor.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about free strikes or anything like that.
And I also charge one of them into the raptor. I leave Anissa alive because if I charge her, the model will be out of command and unable to actually do attacks. So she's there. She gets to live this turn.
If Kallus dies, it won't matter.
Correct. So these models are 3 dice to hit, needing 8s.
Yep.
Eights. No.
Yes? 15. So
yes,
6.
15. Sorry.
Needing
9s.
9s.
So, and they're 4 dice damage because last standard is an additional die, so they're dice off 5. The first attack does, that looks like a 14.
Yeah, 14 damage, which I do up to transfer. We send the 14 damage to the Protector.
The second, this unit of Immortals is just going to start going through their last stand attacks. That would normally be a miss. I choose to reroll with a soul, turns it into a hit. Charge attack does a bunch of damage. You choose to transfer it, sends it to the 5. Third Immortal hits the 9, dice off 5, does 9 more damage. Pretty consistently rolling 14s. I really spiked on the first damage roll, which helps, but
I was hoping to be able to absorb a couple of below average rolls.
yeah. I miss with the UA. His mat's not great and his attack's not great anyways, so I'm not too worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the random Immortal left over
Kills the Raptor.
kills a Raptor.
We mark the models for last stand. They're not destroyed yet, which is somewhat relevant because there's
still
an
block
issue of
space.
placement. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
This unit of Immortals can't see Kallus, so they're going to have to just go incorporeal and walk, but it's fine because they're not missing out on boosted damage rolls because of my feat.
Zaal shoots first, misses Kallus because of the engaged in melee.
He actually just chucks out a Sunder
Oh, sorry,
Spirit.
Sunder Spirit, not a ranged attack.
Zaal has this sweet rule called Ghost Sight. Basically, he gets Ghost Shot, but also on his spells because he has a cool Extoller stone eye thing that lets him see through stuff. It's neat. Immortals go. First attack misses. They're 4 dice to hit now because they can boost these attack rolls. So even more likely to hit.
Yep. First one does a good chunk of damage to Kallus. He's now out of transfers. Second one manages a hit, boost damage, and that is enough to kill Kallus. That's the game.
Yep. With an Immortal to spare.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, he's got a really tanky stat line, but as previously mentioned, like there's a lot of damage potential in this list, and it can kind of come from unexpected places.
Yeah. So the weird thing about Zaal1 is that I feel like a lot of my games end with me being like, I'm really down on attrition, but they've put their caster just like in range of 3 dudes, and those 3 dudes are going to get 4 dice to hit and 4 dice damage, and that's probably enough to do it. So, I mean, let's try it.
I mean, you needed, what was it? We got 4.
This was 6 Immortals.
Yeah, this was 6 Immortals, and you needed 5 of them, basically, right? Or sorry, no, you needed 6 Immortals, and you got 7 on me.
One of them was the UA, and he missed entirely.
Right.
So 6 actual Immortals got onto you.
Right. Although a model missing entirely is a part of the assassination run.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But in this kind of case, it's a total of 7 models. Kallus is probably one of the more durable casters in the game, and he had extra protection in the form of Guard Dog, with 3 transfers. He lives if he has 4, but
I still had an extra attack there.
Fair.
I didn't even have to attack with one of my Immortals, so maybe he doesn't.
Yeah, you never know. Anyway, crazy game. I really felt like I was low on attrition, like I was in a bit of a rough spot, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Then I felt like I really came back on attrition in a really impressive way, and then I was like, I'm totally fine on assassination, though, but I'm not sure how I'm going to do attrition-wise. And you're like, just kill you now. Yep.
Zaal kind of does that, especially because the ability to go incorporeal with my units really messes with just placement of models and threat range, and allows me to do
things screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, as just a utility thing, I can walk through shield walls and then attack from behind if they've charged into me and I've vengeanced forwards and then go through them. I can do weird things with models like Fianna's feet, in that when I charge my unit in, I can also run 2 incorporeal models behind to block dodges.
Yep. Not to mention, just never miss with 4 dice to hit.
That also is a help.
It sure is. And unlike Zaal 2, where you kind of just want to stagger the amount of stuff you kill each turn to prevent him from really assassinating you, Zaal1 is going to accumulate those boosts throughout the course of the game, basically no matter what you do. So you just have to respect that a little bit.
Yeah. And also he himself has a bit of weird personal threat with just the ability to always see you, in that he can chuck out a Hex Blast from behind a forest, he can buff his own models through forests, and he can also just like Sunder Spirit some dudes. Yeah, he's got some cool utilities.
Yeah, super cool. We should mention again, we'll be at Adepticon this week. If anyone is there, we're planning like an Arcane Assist fan meetup type thing, probably for Friday.
Yeah, pay attention to our Facebook page for that. We've already talked about it a little bit over the course of last Friday. However, we might have something more solid.
Yeah, that's the plan, just have something more solid.
And in terms of who has won our steppers, as we said we were going to do that near the beginning of the video. It's Michael Dormodi. I hope I said your name correctly.
I think you said Michael wrong there. That was weird.
Michael Dormodi.
Okay.
I was more focused on the last name.
Fair. That was weird.
Well, you've won some steppers, Michael. And I hope...
Possibly the additional bonus of a terrible mispronunciation of your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a win.
Congratulations.
Get in touch with us. Message us on Facebook. Contact us via arcaneassistpodcast@gmail.com.
Assuming we haven't already contacted you.
Yeah, we will make our efforts, but if you have not heard from us, please reach out, and we'll make sure that those get shipped to you. We've had a little bit of trouble with shipping, but we've found a new solution for it, so this whole process should be more prompt. And thanks again to Muso Minis for offering those to us.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and all the social media.
Twitch. Twitch.tv/arcane_assist.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will be doing a little bit more Twitch streaming in the near future. I don't know if we will be doing much recording at Adepticon. We may do some kind of casual recording. We may do some more serious recording. We haven't really decided what our weekend's going to look like yet. But come up, say hey, maybe you get an Iron Arena game. We'll be doing some Iron Arena games throughout the course of the weekend. And if we don't see you there, we'll see you next time.